about it before you take action. What's your podcast going to be about? Why do you want a podcast? Where do you see this going 2 years from now, 3 years from now? Think about it before you act.
Welcome to the Goalbusters Expert Peak Productivity Tips podcast, where top business experts get just 7 minutes to answer 5 rapid-fire questions about what they do and how they stay productive.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Robin J. Emden, and I'm an accountability coach and the author of Get Resultsology, The Science of Getting Stuff Done. I work with people who run their own business. No boss, distractions everywhere, and never enough hours left in the day. Together, we cut through the noise, sharpen their focus, and follow through on the big ideas that actually move the needle. That's what I call the momentum formula. Do it today, profit tomorrow, and repeat. So if that sounds like the kind of breakthrough that you've been looking for, then you're in exactly the right place. And speaking of being in exactly the right place, I am absolutely delighted to welcome our guest expert today, Carl Richards. Carl is the founder and CEO of Podcast Solutions Made Simple. He's committed to partnering with coaches, consultants, and other subject matter experts who don't have the time or technical skills to be in the podcasting space, get booked, or get their show launch and maintain it. You focus on your podcast while Carl and his team of professionals help you be seen as the visible go-to expert. He's the host of Communication, Connection, Community, a sought-after podcast host, best-selling author, speaker, and MC. My goodness! Carl, thank you so much for agreeing to be on Goalbusters today.
Robin, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Can you tell? Whereabouts in the world are you, Carl?
I know. I am in Eastern Ontario, Canada, about 2.5 hours east of Toronto along the St. Lawrence River. Beautiful touristy area in a town called Gananoque in the Thousand Islands. Love to have you come and visit sometime.
I know. I'm packing my bags now, but I'm doing it below the screen, so I look very still and calm, I'm like a duck on a river, on a pond, flapping away underneath, packing to come to camp. I'm waffling, aren't I? Shall we do the questions instead?
Let's get to it.
Yeah, I'll get the clock up on the screen, and there it goes. Carl, could you tell me, please, who is your ideal client?
My ideal client, and I know I sort of alluded to it, but my ideal client are coaches, consultants, and subject matter experts. They are folks they're in a quandary. They're looking to level up their business. They recognize that they're not being seen the way they want to. They're doing a ton of things to do that, but they really feel that they should be doing more. And this is usually where a coach or consultant would say, write a book, go on a speaking tour, start a podcast, guest on podcasts. Those are my ideal clients. They're probably vying for, numerically, they're probably vying for 7 figures, or maybe even beyond that. They recognize that they want to be the leader in their industry and seen as such.
Fantastic. That's very clear and very interesting. So what exactly then is the problem or problems, because I'm sure there are many, that you solve for your clients?
Well, certainly visibility is key to, for my clients. But then the other thing that we're finding in the space that we play in is there's a lot of good noise out there in the podcasting space. And then there's also a lot of noise that just everyone wants to dismiss and put away. And we consider that to be, maybe the content isn't that great, maybe the quality isn't that great. So those are the problems we solve, is the quality, the branding of the show. Not just how does it look, but how does it sound? There's an audio brand to what people have in their businesses. So we focus on those two things, and then strategy too, all around, to make sure that there's a goal in mind and a long-term plan, not just a short-term get-rich-quick scheme for, hey, I have a podcast, show me the money. No, there's a plan, there's a strategy, and moving it forward.
Fantastic. And as a podcast host, I'm not feeling in the least bit self-conscious as you say all of that. So I guess I am. So what is one valuable free action that the audience can implement that will help them to solve these problems at least a little bit for themselves? He asks nosily.
That thing is free. I'm just kidding. Well, here's the thing. Think about it before you take action, what's your podcast going to be about? Why do you want a podcast? Where do you see this going 2 years from now, 3 years from now? But definitely having that soul searching ahead of time, saying, here's what I want my podcast to be about. Here's where I see it helping my community, my clients, whatever the focus is. And here's the goal. Here's what I'd really like to do, not only for myself, but for my community and my audience as well. So there's a very quick takeaway. Think about it before you act.
Yeah, that's a very solid takeaway as well, obviously.
Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. So now that we have a little bit of a better understanding of what you do, and I stress a little bit, that's my fault, I only gave you 3 minutes. Let's dive briefly into goal busting, which is focusing on how to maximize productive time to achieve your business goals. Carl, could you share any tips or advice for someone looking to improve their productivity habits?
Yeah, absolutely. Distractions is one that I think really needs to be put aside. For some people, it's social media. For others, it's things like, oh, there's the letter carrier always arriving at the door at the most inopportune of times. But have that focus time where the phone is turned over because it can be a huge distraction. Even shutting off your email, because that focus time, that 30 minutes, 45-minute chunk is, I found personally very important, whether it's recording a podcast with somebody as skilled and clever as you, Robin, or meetings with people, or all of those things, or focusing on strategy, whether it's my own or whether it's a client's, that requires that focus time. So ditch the distractions. Ditch the distractions.
Fantastic. And I like the hidden tip in there, flatter your host before they've produced the podcast, just in case. Yeah, I like that. So finally, Carl, what should I have asked you today that I didn't? And what would your answer be?
Who my barber is. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, I really need to know. Actually, pen and paper. Yeah, carry on.
It's funny because I'm stammering now because I had one, and then I'm like, maybe I don't have one. But I would say one of the things that maybe you could have asked me is how long does it take to get a podcast up and running? Some people think it happens instantaneously. It's magic. And I know you can only do so much in a short period of time here, Robin, but give yourself a few months. Give yourself two to 3 months to conceptualize, carve out your content, and then get it out there so that you're not just a one-trick pony or a flash in the pan. People see that you're doing this for real. So give yourself some time to do that. Maybe that's a question.
That is a question, and that was a good answer as well. And we do have a little bit of time. So I will ask you a question as well, which is, it is a very crowded marketplace. Podcasts are becoming huge as a medium. I know I listen to podcasts and watch podcasts, video versions of them all the time. And I wasn't even aware that it was happening until suddenly I'm like, crikey, I consume a lot of this. How do you stand out in such a crowded marketplace? How do you get your podcast out there where you want people, where your target market is?
I think number one, you have to think outside the box. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're not going to be heard or seen in the sea of those other podcasts. So if you're doing the same old sitting in a room, talking with a guest, talking by myself, and there's nothing else going for your show, no disrespect, but certainly you might not be punching through. And that's the other reason too, Robin and I alluded to it, why we do audio branding, because even have a slight audio brand or sound that identifies you gives you the advantage over other shows that don't, other shows that are using stock music or even worse, AI generated music that isn't necessarily a good reflection of who they are or who their clients are either. So I think if you can, raise above and do that, I think that's a really good way to do it. And also make sure your content has sizzle. Every good steak has sizzle. So should your content.
Excellent advice, and thanks so much. And I asked an extra question there. I hope I haven't incurred too many charges for that. There are the checks in the post, and you'll just have to hope that it'll rise one day. All right, so I'll shut the clock up there because we're done with that. We've done that in 7 minutes. Thank you so much, Carl. That was a real masterclass, and I genuinely could sit there and pick your brain all day. But my format doesn't let me do that because now I have to ask us one more question, which is a two-parter. It's always a two-parter at this point, which is, first of all, how can people reach you if they would like to find out more about you and what you do? And secondly, is there like a valuable free resource they could get from you as well? And I always say, being British, it's a bit cheeky asking for that, but it's not really. Sometimes that really is the best way to find out more about what you do, and then people feel more encouraged and able to want to get in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Easiest way is podcastsolutionsmadesimple.com. There's some great information there about who we serve and what we've been working on, and also how you can have a conversation with me. There's links all over the site that'll take you to booking some time with me to have a conversation, to find out what your goals are for podcasting. And as far as a free resource goes, yes, as a matter of fact, I do. If you're still, deciding if this is for you, the free resource I have is called 10 Simple Steps to Launching Your Podcast. We created this a couple of years ago when we were really wanting to help folks who weren't quite ready, that needed just a little bit of encouragement and help to get them started. So that resource is available to walk you through in 10 simple steps. How do you get started? And also have you thinking, what's holding you back from starting today?
Fantastic. And for our viewers, that people that can see the screen, we will put the URL to that along the bottom of the screen. It will also be in the show notes, and also you will notice that there is a very unusual painting hanging to the right on the screen of Carl's head, but of course it's a QR code, and do have a go at that. I believe it's quite safe. I hope it's safe anyway.
I think it's safe. It goes to all of my connection points. It should also go to that free resource as well.
Yes, excellent. Of course it does. Thank you so much. Carl Richards, thank you so much for appearing on Goalbusters today. It's been a delight and it's been highly educational.
Robin, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
It has. And remember, everybody, keep goal busting and make your future self proud. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Goalbusters. If you're enjoying it, please subscribe, rate and review it on your favourite podcast platform. Your support is very much appreciated. And if you're ready to boost your online profits, skyrocket your productivity, crush procrastination and see a positive change in your bank balance, all within just 30 days, this is your opportunity. Take my free 5-day challenge at www.skyrocketyourproductivitychallenge.com.